Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 20 of the Ashton Gate 8 with me, Ringo FM. You'll see Christmas has come to my household, so you've got a nice moose and polar bear and a couple of teddies in the background. And you will see we decided not to do the first game of the season. What we decided to do, and the reason I did this is because I feel like the opening games of a season are quite false on Football Manager. You tend to see a lot of people sort of do their saves and they play the first game of the season and they win 2-3-0 or they lose 10-0 and it sets the tone for the season. I am not about that. What I wanted to do is sort of show you how we need to adapt. And this is how I try to adapt things when I get promoted to a high division on Football Manager. So we're going to talk about a few things first. First, we'll talk about, you can see the league table there. 1 win and 4 losses, I believe it is. 4 losses in a row. You'll see we played Tottenham, 2-1 win against Tottenham, a 2-1 loss at Old Trafford, 2-0 loss to Villa, and then back-to-back 3-2 losses against Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. If we click on that, I think the thing to take away from this is, if you look at the Premier League games, scored 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not like we're not scoring goals. So I think the main issue is, and the issue that we need to look at, is we need to look at the defence and sort of the midfield and look about it that way. And obviously, the last episode was about squad building. I felt like we built quite well. There was obviously some transfers that happened off camera compared to when we last left off. You see transfer history then. We actually turned a profit. The transfer window is over, I believe. I should have checked that before the video. It's been a little while. I basically recorded like a batch of episodes and played like a certain point and then left it at that. But there's been an awful lot of ins and outs. Obviously, the main out, Daniel Maldini went out, Nathan Trott. Obviously, if you watch the last video, Monday's video, you'll have seen the crash dump. I had to reload it, and what I had to do is rewatch the video in the background while I was playing again and try and make the transfers that I did make and try and make the transfers out. One of them being Trott, and we couldn't get the 7 million we got for him. In that, but there was a couple of transfers out. As I say, Ethan Williams was one of those lads that we brought in from Manchester United. If you have a little look, we brought him in on a free. We loaned him out to Tranmere. He had a great season. We sold him to Burnley for 9.75 up front, 1.2 million potentially with a 20% sell-on fee. So I feel like that represents good value for money. That's sort of how you keep your finances ticking over. Pelly Ruddock out on loan. Ephraim Yeboah, we decided to loan out again to Oxford. Frith, we are giving another loan to. I feel like his development is going to be best actually out, and you can see he looks a lot better than he did when we last had him here. Rich Maguire, Doherty, we finally loaned out. He's gone to Fleetwood. I'm assuming he will be playing in the attacking midfield role there. Ronald Jones, another one out on loan. He has now decided to declare for Trinidad, which is very interesting. I don't think I've seen a good Trimbagonian? Wow. Can you not just say Trinidadian? Is that... No? But I thought a higher league. He's gone to league football. He was at Gateshead last year. He's now gone to Reading in League One. Reading have become something of a bit of a feeder club for us, to be honest. We loan a lot of players there. Ruben Sellers is taking a lot of our lads on loan. He's got McAllister playing there at the minute, which is not nice. Because they do take a lot of lads off us. I'm not liking that. I'll keep an eye on that. But anyway, so Ronald Jones has gone out on loan. Raekwon Nelson has gone out on loan to Lincoln. He joins up with another person who's gone out on loan to Lincoln in Descott. Descott, but he's injured now, Anthony Descott. It's his first big injury. Jesse Marsh, absolutely flying with Lincoln. I thought, decent, Descott's going to have a good start. He's going to have a lot of football to play. And he picked up quite a significant injury. He tore his calf muscle before the opening game of the season. So he's not actually kicked the ball for them in the league yet. But even still, his value has gone up. So if he has a good season there, we can bring him in, see how we're going to do, or loan him out, or sell him again. So we're just trying to make the money, you can see. Gianfranco Chavez finally left. He went down to Plymouth, 1.1 million. We lost a bit of money on him. Trevor Grinsell has gone out on loan to Cambridge and has had a bit of a tumultuous time. you can see his average ratings. He's performed below average, but obviously as a very young lad, he had one game where he ends up getting 2 assists. He has scored a goal. If we look at all teams, he got 2 assists in the game against Millwall in the league, and then when he's playing for Ireland, he's doing very well. But you'll see they're playing him as a Metzala or like a box to box, and obviously I want him to sort of be this ball winner on support. I'm not against them using him as a Metzala and a box to box for the season, because if you look at what sort of let's say box to box, for example, the stuff he's improving on here, you can see a lot of yellows on these blue highlighted ones, are stuff that we weren't training him on. So if he gets a season's experience doing that, I don't mind that, I really don't mind it. But we are keeping a close eye on him. And then one of the big outs, Emil Kraft, went to Al Ghafara for 9.5 million. And then unbelievably, they came in with a £21 million offer for Cameron Pring. And I feel as though we had better fullbacks at the club. We did speak about Pring a few times, obviously like an absolute assist and goal monster for us. He did actually play the first game of the season against Tottenham as well, but I couldn't turn down £21 million. Obviously, the aim of the save, the way we're doing it, is we want to make as much money as we can on the players that we've got. And I feel as though if we can bring in players that are sort of better or make more sense, then it's definitely worth doing. So £21 million for Cameron Pring, it puts us in a profit in a Premier League season. That is insane. I feel like there's very, very good value for money. And yeah, they were all transfers out, transfers in. Then obviously you saw Tom Cannon and you saw Romeo Frula. Tom Cannon has actually started pretty well. 2 goals. His potential ability, they're now saying he's got another star and a half in him. I think 16 million in the end. I think, 16.25 I can go up to. It's fine. I'm happy enough with that. Romeo Frula has performed quite well. Physically is dropping off slightly. So I think we need to keep him more behind the ball. And that's why I wanted to talk about the tactics a bit later on. Malo Gusto came in on loan from Chelsea. I thought excellent value for money. He's not played an awful lot, because we've been playing Butch there. You can see he played in the Carabao and didn't really perform well. But I think long term, Gusto will probably be the starting right back. But because Bush was signed and given an important player, I thought we would sort of let him work, let him do what he needs to do for now, and then we can bring Gusto into the fold. Christian Eriksen on a free will make sense when I talk about what I want to do. I just think it's Christian Eriksen. Look, he's a fantastic player. 48 grand a week. He can play in a multiple different positions. He can play deep. He can play as the 10. He could literally, if we wanted an Aganji, he could just stand there, couldn't he? He could literally just stand there and play the ball. He could even play as a false 9. He's not trained there, but there's no reason he couldn't play as a false 9 or even a deep line forward. He tries killer balls. He's just got so much that we don't have, and you'll see he's only made 2 substitute appearances, Christian Eriksen, but he's got 2 assists. So it makes sense on a free. It's just a calibre of player we've never had before. Vladislav Vanak came in on loan. I like the look of him. 23, if you think about how we do our transfers, he's performed well enough, I think. At Kiev, he did very well. And at Bournemouth, not a massive pool of data to go by, but he proved he can do it in the Premier League. So we brought him in, 500k loan deal, and then we made a very left field signing, one I'm not very proud of, but you've probably already seen him. But in terms of the game, it made sense, so we'll talk about him in a minute. Vledan Hodza came in. This was a signing that our director of football made. Has not performed when he has been in. Is not training very well. And then his report has now changed to say he's very inconsistent, or fairly inconsistent. So I actually really like him. He was like 3 mil. Again, performed quite well for Rijeka over in Croatia. I think there's something there. There's definitely something there. We did try and loan him out because I feel like our midfield is already set, but he's just kicked off. He's not very happy. He doesn't like me. It's a bit of a shambles, really, to be honest. So I don't know what to do with Vledan Hodza. I do think there's definitely a good player in there. I just don't know if he's a good player for me. And then left back cover, we brought in Franz Kratzig from Bayern Munich. If you ignore this, because that's over the current season, last season for Bayern's reserve team in the Tri League, I think that's decent. I've managed in Germany on countless FMs. It's not a bad league. It's really not. 24 appearances, 3 assists, 1 player of the match, a 7.4. His 3 games for Bayern Munich last season, he averaged a 7.3. So he's come in, he's only made 1 Premier League substitute appearance and then 1 start in the Carabao. In the Carabao, gets a 7.7. His Premier League substitute appearance, he gets a 6.7. So I think that represents good value. He's only worth about 2 mil, so it might even be someone we bring in as long-term cover. And then another good signing who hasn't set the world alight just yet, but I feel like he's struggling to adapt. It doesn't say he is. It's saying he's performed well in training. He's just not performed full stop, to be honest. If you look, that wasn't us, but against... Oh, no, it was. It was in a friendly. 6.6, 6.5. He had a good game off the bench against Tranmere, obviously. And then, these games he's not performed, but obviously we've lost all 3 of these games, so I'm not necessarily blaming him. But a good winger, 8 million, he probably won't improve much, but if you think about what we're looking for, he's quick, and the way we play actually, but he's quick, he's good off the ball, he's very creative, he's got good flair, he can shoot, he can finish. He's a good signing, to be honest. And then we'll talk about Aimu Seko first. Centre-back cover, a free transfer who came in from Grasshoppers of Zurich. Has done very well there, 6.77 and a 7.02. I think he's decent enough. He's definitely Premier League level. He's 25 years of age. We've got him for we've got him for the season. He might end up being the starter if Roberts and me continue to struggle. And then Mason Greenwood came in on a free transfer. And then I know it's Mason Greenwood. It is what it is. I don't agree with it. Obviously, don't condone what he did. End of story. But it's a game at the end of the day. And the way we're looking at things, there's 2 seasons he spent on loan at Getafe, 6.84, a 7.14, 9 goals, 9 assists last season. He's come into us. He's played 3 games and scored 2 goals, 2 in the league, scored 4 goals actually, 2 in the league, 2 in the cup. Again, a calibre of player that we don't have at this club. If we look at his report, they're just saying he's not very good in the air. He's got poor heading ability. His training regime, he needs to improve his endurance. He's finding it hard, but everything else is fantastic. His squad comparison, better than Cannon, better than Francelinho Dew, is better than Tommy Conway, who is one player who I think just is not going to adapt. You can see he's dropped down now to 2.5 stars. He was 4 stars in the Championship. Struggled massively for form. He scored a penalty on the opening day of the season. We look at his form. He scored a penalty on the opening day of the season against Manchester United, against Tottenham. Missed a penalty at Old Trafford. Didn't really set the world alight against Villa. And then a 6.1 against Bournemouth. I had to take him off against Villa because there was a red card, and then against Bournemouth, he literally did nothing. I think he's probably the next one we move on, to be completely honest with you. I just don't see him getting any better unless we just persist with him like we did last time. But he's done it twice now, once in the Championship and now once in the Premier League. He's not really doing anything of note. And other than that, not really a lot of things to mention. Obviously, the tactic we're going to talk about soon. We're going to look at the players who are performing. We're going to look at average ratings and see if that gives us an indication of who should be playing. I think 5 games is about enough to judge what your better team is. I think by the time you get 10 games in, you should have an idea of your best 11, and we should be able to work it from there. But if we look at the average ratings, then let's just do it from position. Obviously, it's the 4-2-4 we like to play. 7.6 from Timo Horn. He saved 2 penalties so far this season, so slightly inflated numbers. Is still making a lot of saves. If we look at his stats, he's conceded 11, no clean sheets. He's tipped 3, he's parried 12, he's held 10. He's holding a lot. It'd be very nice if you could put like an XGA in here for goalkeepers, but you can't, which is a bit annoying. Fairly annoying. Again, passes. He's very good at retaining possession for us, which is mad because his passing attributes are not very good at all. But he definitely has to stay in. I think Martin Bush is struggling to adapt, although I think, again, considering we're conceding so many goals, I don't necessarily think it's any one player in particular's fault. And obviously their statistics and whatnot and their form and their analysis, if you look at their statistics, they're not necessarily playing poorly at all, to be honest with you. We're just because we're conceding so many goals, the defender stats do get a bit deflated. But then you look at someone like Ben Mee on a 6.42, who has started 4 Premier League games for us. I think he now needs to just be a backup player. I thought his leadership and whatnot would help him adapt, but he's just declining. He's declining a lot. So Ben Mee is going to be the first one that we remove from position. Left back then, Andre Borza, again, 6.46, has not performed. He's not really made the step up, and I feel like that's kind of my fault because we didn't give him enough in the Championship. 9 games in the Championship. He's coming to the Premier League now after coming from a league, Romanian league is not up to the standard of the Premier League, let's be completely honest. So I think we now need to rotate him in a lot. Obviously, Korzig's a bit older than him as well. So I think we're going to start starting him and rotating Borza in a little bit more. Or maybe, again, it is just because of the attribute, the statistics are deflated because we conceded a lot of goals. But then we go into the midfield then. Romeo Frula, 6.60, started 5 games. Average, he's performing average, that's fine. I'm happy with average because we've got a lot of players who are below average. If you look at his form as well, he has been playing mainly as a ball winner, but he got his assist as a defensive midfielder. And the games he's played defensive midfielder, 6.6. Defensive midfielder Bournemouth, 7.1. He's actually higher average rating than he is as a ball winner. So I think if we go into the tactics screen, I think Freuler needs to be the defensive midfielder, to be honest with you. So we change him up, defensive midfielder on the saying support because he likes to run with the ball. But I definitely think defensive midfielder on defend is the position for Freuler. And you know what? We're actually just going to train him up to do that as well. Defensive midfielder on defend, definitely got the mental attributes, physical attributes declining. It makes sense to have Freuler doing that. And Christian Eriksen, we did mention 2 off the bench, 2 assists, 7.35 average rating. We did originally have him training here as like an advanced playmaker because we wanted to do that, sort of have him drifting in and creating chances and allowing Borza to overlap. That was the original idea. But I think we need to pack the middle of the park because the other players that we have who play there, Pascal Juan Estrada, 5 starts, 1 substitute appearance, 6.80 average rating. Again, we look at his form against Tranmere. He got 2 assists, so that's quite inflated. But again, Red Star was the last pre-season. 6.6 against Tottenham as a DM, 6.6 against Man United as a DM. Had to play centre-back due to a red card at Villa, 6.7. And the 2 DM games, again, we conceded quite heavily there. So I actually think what we're probably going to change the tactic up to is maybe a 1 up top and having like Freuler and... So let's say, for argument's sake, let's do this. If we had Eriksen here, kind of like a 4-2-3-1, and genuinely just have like 2 defensive midfielders in Freuler and Estrada just sitting and just protecting the back 4 because we're conceding so much. Because then if we have Eriksen as like an advanced, maybe a deep lying, maybe advanced, I'm not entirely sure, but for argument's sake, deep lying playmaker, you got Eriksen just sort of patrolling around here. That would allow both fullbacks if we did this. So obviously we know the left back's like getting up there and then the right fullback. And then we've got 4 back and Eriksen just sort of patrolling. So there's passing options. We can tell players to run wide, stay a bit wider. So there's more of a triangle. I like that there's a natural triangle here. And then it creates triangles all over the park. Eriksen basically being the pivot. I'm thinking that's what we need to do. We do have like 2 other tactics trained up in the 4-2-3-1, and where's the 5 back? There's the 5 back. But I don't like that idea. I like this idea better. So I think for the game against Shrewsbury, we'll just try it out and just see. But again, we're looking at average ratings, so we need to see who else. Cozy Dewberry, duck to water, 6.98 average rating, performed very, very well. We look at his form every game. Bournemouth 7.3, 6.3 against Palace. No one performed well against Palace, to be honest. 7 against United at Old Trafford. He did actually score. I got an assist against Tottenham. Duck to water. Cozy Dewberry stays in that team as a right winger. Brilliant player. Left wing then, Ronald, a 6.7. He's wanted by Al Ittihad again, but the transfer window's closed, thankfully. I was really resigned to losing Ronald, to be honest. But again, if we look at his form, he does swap around a lot. He plays as a winger. The games he's played as an inverted winger, he's played better, though. Tottenham, Man United. He played as a left winger against Villa, didn't perform. Inverted winger against Palace, but the stats suggest he's better as an inverted winger. Obviously, you can see the Forest game in the final there as well. So we're going to start training him up on the left-hand side as an inverted winger. We do it on attack just because it trains a few more attributes. So Ronald there, Cozy Dewberry there, and then up front is where we've got a bit of a selection headache. Let's put Kratzig in. We did mention Kratzig, didn't we? Let's put Kratzig in. So I think this is what we're going to go with. Di Pietri needs to step up. Centre-backs, obviously Roberts, 6.85. He has scored a goal as well. Kozik is not the player who starts, so we'll remove Kozik. Let's look at the centre-backs. Should we look at the centre-backs? So centre-backs-wise, then Rob Dickey's gone out. Right. So, centre-backs, obviously Pascal Estrada can play there as well, but if you're looking based on like appearances, they're all much of a muchness, more 4s and 3s. Fallou Diouf absolutely has to, a 6.67, when his last 5 games has obviously performed a bit more. I think we're going to go with Diouf and Hayden Roberts. I can't really judge Seko at the moment, but I think we go with Diouf and Roberts as the starting pair, and then we sort of adapt it around that. So we put them in. So we know Diouf is right footer. They're saying Seiko is the best centre back. Where does Seiko like playing? He doesn't mind. Maybe we start Seiko in the cup and give him a run of games, but otherwise Roberts comes in for there. I've tried to keep it where it's the main core of the players who started last season and who started quite well for us. Ismail Diaz, another one who's only been kind of average, but it would be unfair really to drop Ronald for him. We could even train Ismail Diaz as a striker. Right back, Bush is on a 6.52, Gusto's on a 6.5. It's a cup game, so Gusto comes in, Tarvino comes in for home, with it being a cup game coming up next. Kozik's not really performed, Ben Mee's not performed, Shackleton, quite average, but I don't mind an average player. Dew, quite average, is injured, unfortunately. Can we have an additional focus at general rehab? We can. Warrington actually performing very well. Only one off the bench is 6.5, but done quite well in the cup. So Warrington's one of them that we are going to keep in and around the squad. Hodzer, again, we weren't quite decided on what we wanted to do with him. Yeah, you can see what I'm trying to do. I think we just need to sort the midfield out, and I think that's the best way of doing it, is just having the 2 DMs. It's quite negative. I appreciate. It's very negative, actually. I do appreciate that. Can we have Ericsson as an AP? Do we go 4-2-3-1 like this and Ericsson as an advanced playmaker on support and just have these 2 guys sitting? Gusto will naturally get forward a little bit more than Kratzig will, and then we could potentially have Cozy Dewberry on attack. We do need an attack, actually. So that means he'll dribble a bit more, stay a bit wider. He does get quite far forward anyway, to be honest. But it does actually use his natural flair a bit more. So I think we're going to go with that. Tom Cannon, I think it would be unfair to drop Cannon because he's adapting quite well. But obviously we've got Greenwood, who's just in amazing form and is just getting fitter all the time. So I think we start Greenwood. Shackleton makes the bench. I don't even think Tommy Conway deserves a place on the bench at the moment, if I'm being very harsh. I think I might be, but I genuinely don't think he deserves a place on the bench at all. I think obviously we've got Cannon on the bench. We'll have what's his name, Dew coming back in. I think he's been decent in game. He looks very good. But Dew coming in off the bench, I think that's what we go to. And I don't think the tactics are bad. I don't think it like deflates us in any way. I don't think it stops us doing anything. I think we just need the two lads to just stay in the middle. I think it said Estrada was better as an anchor. Yeah. And we could, I mean, that could be an option. That could then let Freuler be a support. That'll get him up a bit further forward. Change into an anchor. Change Freuler to a support. That allows Freuler to get forward if need be. But I do this quite often, sort of 5-6 games into a season, and have a little look. Yeah, he brings the ball out of defence, doesn't he? Runs with it through the centre, likes around the keeper, dictates tempo. DM support makes sense. And then train Estrada up as an anchor man, not a DM. Anchor man on defend, just win the ball back and pass it off and let the creative players do it. I think that's what we're going to start going with. Greenwood, he's just the best striker we've got, to be honest with you. So I think we then can rotate Greenwood, Tom Cannon, and obviously we've got Dew, who is only 20, let's not forget. So we can start rotating Dew in. And then I think Tommy Conway's time at the club is coming to an end. I am just on the tactics, though, going to take this off because obviously they will naturally gravitate to like a playmaker. But if we're just exploiting the left, they'll try and get Kratzik and Ronald involved a bit too much, and it'll stop Ericsson from doing what we know he can do. Advanced playmaker on support, we said, didn't we? What about an Enganche? I've never used an Enganche. I don't know. We just don't need Ericsson to run with it. Do you know what I might do? If we just do an attack and midfielder support and then just tell him to dribble less, because he can't dribble and he can't run. So if we, so advanced playmaker takes more risks, shoots less often, but we don't really want Ericsson to shoot less often, to be honest. What we want him to do is we want him to dribble less, hold the ball up, really ask for strength, really, doesn't it? Ask for an attack-minded player to take a moment or two longer with the ball, slows the pace down, gain a greater perspective, allowing teammates to get forward. Let's do that. Let's tell them to take more risks. Let's tell them to cross more often, cross to the centre forward. His off the ball is very good. And we can just keep it as that for now. And then obviously just change it up when need be. I think that's the best idea, you know? And then obviously we do have the option of, and he'll come deep, so he'll drop down here, and basically we've got the pivot then of Freuler and Ericsson and Estrada sitting there, so it becomes like a 4-3-3. I think that makes the most sense. We do also have the option of other players. Greenwood could play there, Di Pietri could play there. I'm not opposed to Di Pietri playing attacking midfield. He's very creative. Obviously, Mason Greenwood could play there. He could easily play there. If you could get us passing up a bit more, that might be an option. Maybe training Greenwood up as an attacking midfielder. That's a shout, you know. As he gets a bit older, drop him deeper. Allows Tom Cannon and allows rotation with Ericsson. I think we do that. I think we start training Greenwood up. This is why I like doing these things on video, you know. It's really like what Annie moves into the channels. This is why I like doing these things. It makes sense to me to talk through what I'm doing, because then it allows Cannon and you to sort of be the main two strikers, but obviously we're allowing Greenwood like the chance to develop it and play up front when needed. So the next game then, I think this actually makes a lot of sense. They're telling us to bring Hodze Diaz in. I think that makes sense. So let's drop Freuler. Let's bring Hodzer in. He can play as a DM on support quite comfortably. Is not too dissimilar, actually. He's not too dissimilar to Freuler. That makes a lot of sense. Ronald can drop out then, and we will put Diaz in. Diaz prefers being an inside forward, so we do let him do that. He's not as creative as Ronald is. Cozy Dubry, let's drop him out. Let's get Di Pietri some game time. I would start Dew, but he is injured. Tommy Conway, I think, needs to be the backup striker, like the foil striker. And we will we'll start Seko. Falou Diouf is not quite fit, so let's do this. Here we go. We're cooking with gas now. Bush, Warrington. Let's drop Bush out of the squad and let's put Greenwood on the bench. And I think we start with this for Shrewsbury. It's not a glowing indictment if we go and whack Shrewsbury, but we do have Newcastle at home, which we are going to live com. I think one thing we do need to be careful of, though, and just be wary of, is that us changing our formation changes the under 18s and the under 23s. So, obviously, to be fair, they're now looking, because I've changed it up to a 4-2-3-1, they're looking for a 4-2-3-1. That's interesting. But obviously, we do play normally like the 4-2-4, so it will move players around. Sort of, if we look at the under 21s, obviously, we spoke about this in the last episode. Let's have a look. So George Morgan, it might move him out. Aslan might move him out. It might just mess up a little bit. And I don't really think in the under 23s we've got like anyone who can play attacking mid. We do. We sent him out on loan, but we stopped playing attacking midfielders. Idiot. Okay, that's just something I need to look out for the next under 21s game then. Because if we go into their tactics screen of how they would normally set up when it wants to actually do anything, it would change it up to something like this, which it's not too far off. We've dropped Vanat down there just to give him some game time, but we do want Morgan to play. I do think Morgan's one of those players that looks worse but can get a lot better than he shows. Claremont isn't a winger, is he? No, he's not. And Lapham's not a left winger either. So Pierre, I think then Pierre comes in, and then I think Aslan can start trading as an attacker midfielder. Morgan, Mully, Berg, Camerson. Yeah, we want Lapham in there, really. Lapham has got a lot of potential in him. Getting better as well. Jordan Lapham. Arda Aslan then training as an attacking midfielder. There's one thing you can do, by the way. So see, like there, it said that he prefers playing like shadow striker. So if you, for argument's sake, let's move him to the senior squad. Let's add him to the mentoring just to get him up there. Let's add Aslan in there. Ooh, he's going to have significant effect. He had none effect last time. That's good to know. Anyway, so argument's sake, Arda Aslan, attacking midfield-wise, prefers playing as a shadow striker. If we then stick him in there, where's he gone? Arda Aslan, stick him in there, personalised, change into a shadow striker on attack, right? Then we go back down to the under-21s, look at their tactics, magically becomes a shadow striker. So again, I don't think a lot of people know that, to be honest. I don't really see people talking about developing in-house. It's more just loan them out and see how that goes. So, yeah, interestingly as well, I just noticed Malo Gusto can potentially play as an attacking midfielder. That is quite an interesting one. Harry Bond, for a youth team, could play very, very well as an attacking midfielder. So, it's opening up a lot of avenues, just changing my tactic up there, than what we'd normally show. Oh, Matteo Joseph's playing for Shrewsbury. This is going to be sod's law. Matteo Joseph's going to score against me, isn't he? Faludio's not fit. That's not fair to put him in then. We'll put Kozik on the bench. Shackleton can be the midfielder. Warrington, Greenwood, Cannon, Ronald, all that. Yes, we will go with that. We will go with that. So I think now that we're like a Premier League outfit, we need to use these cup games to get players a bit of fitness, try things out we wouldn't normally try. Malo Gusto potentially being an attacking midfielder is crazy. As Ericsson gets in there, we have told you to dribble less, Christian, so you've got to be... Have we definitely? We have. Just need to watch out for that. Long throw-ins, again, have treated us very well so far. Bush having 17 long throws has helped an awful lot, but it's more this, like the routines that come from it, as Hodson wins a corner. It's more the routines that come from it. I really, really like the set piece work this year. They've done very well. And I don't like that Christian Eriksen's not taking this corner. I mean, It wasn't a bad corner, but it wasn't the best. I think playing with two DMs as well in a cup game at home to like lower league opposition might be deemed a bit too negative by the fans, because obviously we do play quite attacking normally, but because we're so direct and with a high tempo, I don't think it's going to cause much of an issue. But I mean, we're getting a lot of shots away. We've had a lot of possession. It's just going to take them a little while to adapt, I think. But I think just having the two midfielders as a foil will probably just help us out a lot more. Shrewsbury have a throw. Here's Morgan Feeney, former Everton man. Dunkley looking for Matteo Joseph, and Hodgson does well. You see in there, Hodgson just dropped in. He created a five at the back. He just covered the run through. It makes sense to do. And he's holding a bit more than Estrada is, which is interesting. Here's Diaz. Estrada. Yeah, see, it creates a few more passing options than we normally have on. We normally just lump it down the line. And it's not to say we're not going down the line, to be honest with you. We still are. Here's Hodzer. Roberts. Cross to Malo Gusto. This is nice. I'm liking the look of this. Christian Eriksen's gone for it. And Phillips has to tip it. I liked that. I like that a lot. I think second half, though, we will drop Eriksen out, put Greenwood in the attacking midfield, and maybe Tom Cannon up front. I don't want to overuse the players we need against Newcastle, but I'm liking. And do you know what? I think Tommy Conway, I don't think he needs to. I think because he's performing so poorly, we need to just change him back to a poacher and just focus on putting the ball in the net, mate. We don't need him creating. He's got a lot of bodies behind him now. We don't really need him sprinting around and running through and trying to create things for others. We need him in the box. As Diaz finds Di Pietri. That should be a goal. Corner now to be taken again by Kratzig, who's not having a bad game at all. Whips it in. It's headed away. Here's Malo Gusto. Finds Kratzig again. It's a good touch. Estrada to Di Pietri to Hodzer. Great touch from him. And forces the save from Phillips. Eriksen. Can he create? He's whipped it in. Estrada's up. It's headed away by Terrell Thomas. Kratzig. Great run. He's hit the post. I think, again, I'm not taking too much into it because it's Shrewsbury, but we're not getting shots on target. No, I don't like that, though. I don't like work the ball into the box, but I think we need to. We're not getting shots on target at all. What I do like, though, is that it does seem to be creating chances. Obviously, the players aren't used to they're used to the formation. They're just not used to the style. It's slightly changed, so it will take them a little bit to adapt. Ignore that. Which, yeah, we just need to get a few more shots on target. But I don't like work the ball into the box. I've never liked it. I prefer low crosses, to be honest. I think that works better. And again, Shrewsbury set up in this five-back that a lot of teams seem to do against us because I think they know it does us. I think they know it creates chances against us. I don't like this, though, because they're not performing. Di Pietri, again, you're playing against League 2 opposition, mate. Like, step it up. Cozy Dubry's coming in. We'll take Eriksen out for Mason Greenwood. Greenwood will have to change up his settings. Tommy Conway, you've done nothing, lad. So Tom Cannon is going to come on, and we will have him as an advanced forward. He's better at that role. Seiko's not played well. Hayden Roberts has, though. So maybe Seiko comes out for Kozik, and we start trying to see what Kozik can offer. Gusto. Let's put that back down to support. And let's do wing back on attack on Malo Gusto. And then, yeah, we need to change up. We will just let Greenwood play how he likes to play and see how he gets on there. 3 changes at half-time against Shrewsbury is just not what you want to see, is it? But the players we did bring off, minus Eriksen, but the players we did bring off were not really performing. So I think it's justified. So it's telling us to work it in the box. Let's try it again. We've not created anything this second half. Nobody is doing anything. to be completely honest with you. Gusto is not performing. I think you need to come off. But we don't have a right back on the bench, stupidly. Estrada needs a rest, so we'll put Shackleton in there. Kratzik gets ready for a long throw. We'll be absolute pigs if we scored off a set piece against these. He's gone to Cozy Dubry, who's won a corner. He has, off Mateo Joseph. Diaz hasn't really performed either, has he? Yeah, I'm not liking this. Greenwood's corner. Very creative player, Mason Greenwood, as he whips it in towards Seco. It's headed away. Back in. Cleared away. There's Malo Gusto to end the highlight. This is not good, lads. Do you know what? It's not good, so I think we go back to the tried and tested. Let's get Greenwood up front with Cannon. I still don't mind like Shackleton and Hodser being like supporting players. But we're going to go with this now. I'll have them both on support, both wing backs on attack. I think that will... They're League 2 opposition, League 1, League 2. We're better than them, really. So we need to... Yeah, that's what we need to do. Just try and take the game to them a bit more, because we've absolutely, possession-wise, we've been fantastic. We've had a lot of shots, just not really got any on target. Shackleton takes his corner. It's headed on by Feeney. Greenwood to Shackleton. Ball across the box. It's gone over everyone. Here's Seiko. Now Cozy Dubry! Blocked behind for a corner. Let's just change it up to positive as well. We're having a lot of the ball. This 5 back from Shrewsbury, though, was just stifling anything. Sorry about that. Bloody work call. I was over an hour I've been. I can't remember where we were. We've got a corner against Shrewsbury. That's where we were. Kratzig's delivery. Easily away by Morgan Feeney. I'm disappointed we've not scored, but the positives I'm going to take from it, Shackleton burst through. The positives I'm going to take from using the 4-2-3-1 is that it doesn't seem, based on the shots that we've had, it doesn't seem that the players can't play it, which is good. We've been training a 4-2-3-1 for a while, for the past two and a half seasons, whatever we're up to now. We've been training it. They're going to bloody score off this, aren't they? Oh, they hit the post. They can clearly play it. It seems like when we've got like the 2 DMs in there, rather than sort of one being a bit more advanced, it just gives us that stability. As Malo Gusto takes a throw in, knocked down by Seco. Seco, the Japanese, to Shackleton. Here's Kratzig! Franz Kratzig! I'm not getting too excited. It's a goal against Shrewsbury. We scored again off a set piece, off the throw-ins. As I said, it's normally the routine that becomes the good thing on it. Depending on who's playing between like Kratzig and Gusto and Bush, it might be a case that the right-hand side becomes the attack and the left-hand side becomes support. Although we do play with like the inverted player out there on the left, so that is just something to... Oh, well intercepted by Diaz. That's a really poor pass. And Shrewsbury, for all their hard work, looked like they were just about to undo themselves. I'm not disappointed. It's proven they can play that way. We've had a lot of efforts. We've had a lot of chances. Again, it is only Shrewsbury, so we need to just be careful. Here's Shackleton. That's another good ball by Shackleton. And Diaz's cross is really poor. And I think that's the thing with Diaz, is that we brought him in thinking he could be like an inverted winger. He's not very creative. He's got good attributes to be creative, but I don't think he can quite do it. Maybe he is a striker, in disguise a striker, but you know, he's 20, he's in his mid-20s, they can't really retrain him that much now. As Shackleton's delivery, Cannon's header across. Here's Diaz, now Mason Greenwood to Cozy Dubry. Good touch out of feet and tipped over by Phillips. We just need to, again, work the ball into the box is not something we want to do, but if it fits with the tactic, fine. I think we've bought players that can cover in a 4-2-3-1, but mainly players who can play in the 4-2-4. If we can find a way for us to sort of defend in the 4-2-3-1 and attack in a 4-2-4 or vice versa, we'll maybe see. But obviously, we've changed it up back to the 4-2-4. We've scored a goal and we're getting a lot more shots on target. So I don't know whether that's just like naturally going to happen with two strikers on the pitch than you would do with like an AM and one striker on his own. But I think we've basically got like a good tackle, Gusto. We've basically got a lot of Hod's there. It's crap. We've got a lot of tinkering to do, I think, if we want to stay in this division long term, which obviously is the aim. To be honest, if we went down, I don't think I'd get sacked because we were. Oh, that's a great knock. That's lovely play, and Greenwood's very unlucky not to get on the end of that. Gusto with a big overlap, and he found him. Malo Gusto, yeah. I think if we did go down, I wouldn't get sacked. We obviously are like well ahead of where the board thought we would be. Minigan Z Mason, tremendous. I genuinely think he could be like a false nine, maybe. Oh, Shackleton should score. Yeah, we've got creative players. That's what I'm trying to say. We've got creative players. Maybe Diaz isn't the creative player we thought he is. Maybe he's just a striker who plays out wide. Maybe we could retrain him as a striker. We've got a lot of options. The game against Newcastle will be the telling game. This game here against Shrewsbury, we just tried something different, tried something out, wanted to see how it went. That's a good ball by Seko, and the referee's blown for an offside, it looks like. So that should be the end of the game. We've obviously got the game against Newcastle. We've got to get these lads, Gusto, Kratzig, Cozy Dewberry, Cannon Greenwood, they're still quite fresh. We need to get them fit. We need to get them ready. It is a home tie. I said it a few times last season, and I actually said it, I think this season as well, because we proved it at Tottenham. I fancy us to beat anybody at home. So we need to be quite careful. We changed up Tommy Conway's game time, and he's kicked off about it, but three people... So the three strikers actually agree with me that Conway isn't good enough and shouldn't be playing. So that's fine by me. I think what we'll try and do is we'll try and shift them in the January transfer window. But obviously, January is a very hard time to sell someone. But we'll just keep using them in like the cup games for now. Minutes per goal, Mason Greenwood, 67 minutes per goal. So Greenwood has to play. He just absolutely has to play. Whether he's like a wide player, whether he's creative behind the striker, whether he is just a striker, I think he could probably play false nine. But it's quite funny. I was just thinking. Obviously, we're looking at going 4-2-3-1, and it looks as though the original idea that we had all the way back in the very first tactical video is come about full circle, and looks like that's just going to happen in the Prem. That sort of like low block, defensive, counter-attacking football looks like it might be what we're going for. Because obviously we stumbled on the 4-2-4. So just looking at Ismail Diaz as well, and we're talking about like maybe he's a striker. Obviously he's quite strong as well. He's got like a decent jumping reach. He's 6 foot. I think as like a deep lying playmaker, a deep lying forward, sorry, he'd be very, very good and would just offer something a little bit different. Oh, for God's sake, Matthew. I think that's what he is. I think he's a forward. And if you look for Panama, he actually has played as a deep lying forward, and his 2 goals against Guatemala came as a deep lying forward. I would say then it probably leaves us looking something like this. Greenwood is the best. Dew being, they're saying, his first choice is a right winger. Dew, Cannon, Diaz, and I would genuinely say Conway's the worst of the 5. Then maybe for the Newcastle game, we trial out Diaz coming off the bench as a deep line forward and seeing if he helps it and helps link the play a bit. So obviously the transfer window is shut, but just watch this space with Cole Palmer. We are looking at him. He's not really playing for Chelsea. He's available for loan. He also went on loan to Fulham. I genuinely think we could probably get him in. It's saying he's doubtful, but doubtful to me is just give him a bit more money. We might be able to get Cole Palmer in, but there's a couple of players knocking about. As you can see, the scouting updates are coming in thick and fast. We are still looking at certain players, ways we can improve the squad. Match prep then, I always go on about this. Why can't I change it? Why can't I change it? Oh, because to skip forward today. Transition phase, attacking free kicks and defending corners. We are looking to attack the ball a little bit more set pieces. The team selection then is pretty much what we come up with, but they want Hodds in there. Ball's a left back. Ben Mee, I'm sorry, Ben, you need to drop out, mate. You're just not performing. We put Hayden Robertson there, Freuler there. It's saying Hodzer as the anchor man. I disagree. I think Estrada comes in. DiPietri, he just needs to wake up, really. DiPietri, Dew, Kratzig, Diaz, Cannon, Mee, Shackleton. We can't have that many attacking players. We need some midfielders in there. More importantly, we need some defenders in there. I think me on the bench is fine. Essentially got 3 forward players and a winger on there, and then a left back, centre mid. I can't risk the striker, the goalkeeper getting injured. I think we leave it at that. Tell you what, we'll drop Ben Mee down because obviously Estrada can cover at centre back, and then that lets us bring Warrington in because we did mention that Warrington played well so far this season. Greenwood starting up front, I think that's fine. And then obviously if Ericsson gets a little bit too tired, we can always take him off and put Greenwood in there, put one of the strikers on. Obviously there's the familiarity, we mentioned that. There's a few only accomplished in their roles, but when they get a bit more sort of versed in their positions, that will do us wonders. So yeah, I think that's how we're going to start out. Do we do a low block with a lower line? I think we do. I think we go back to the original plan, which was counter-attack. And just on the under-18s, then, we are going to train Bond as an attacker mid. He's as good playing a playmaker as he is deep. But I think, yeah, I think if we start training him in this position for a year, see how he gets on. We've already changed his training to attacking midfield support. It allows no, we're not changing director football. It just allows that natural progression, like I mentioned about Grinsell playing a different position. I'm thinking, I don't know whether I've put too many instructions on Ericsson. So we're going to take his crossing ones off. And we're going to take hold off the ball because he's not strong enough. We'll just tell him to dribble less and take more risks. And that's all he needs to do. They're like buses now, these Timo Horn injuries. He's pulled his groin. We mentioned it in the summer. It is the exact reason we brought in Tarvanu. So Tarvanu comes in, Timo Horn drops to the bench. Even if it's saying he's fit enough to play, I think we're a month into the season. He's had 2 injuries now. And do you know what? Our schedule has been rancid. If we just look at this, and it's not getting any easier. Man United, Tottenham back-to-back. Villa, who finished 4th. Bournemouth, who are in the Europa League. Palace, okay. We were unlucky there. Newcastle at home, Man City away, Brighton home, Arsenal away. I think come November, that's when it starts getting a bit easier. But look at this December schedule. It's not been kind to us. So this is why I always say maybe 5-6 weeks into a season, that's when you really need to start looking at like your tactics and seeing what works, because it can very quickly escape you. Just on the Grinsell again, not performing well at Cambridge, a 6.3 in that match. Richie Wellens has them sat 22nd in the league. It's experience, though. He's a young lad. It's, he doesn't have to win every game. You can see he is still developing. It's experience at the end of the day. That's what he's going to get. The 4-2-3-1 low block seemed to work against Southampton. Johansson getting a couple of goals there. Yates playing well. Harry Bond actually scored a goal. So that's interesting. It's very interesting to see that immediately has paid off, that tactical switch in the under-18s. There's just another thing to look out for as well when you do change like a tactic. The tactical familiarity on your tactics screen. Ericsson here, it's saying his lack of familiarity with the formation is impacting the squad's overall tactical cohesion. Where possible, you should be given more time to get up to scratch. So that's his only issue. He's not really familiar with the 4-2-3-1. Which, if you think about it in real life, this was his position for the longest time. It just takes into account that over the course of his career, he's dropped deeper and deeper and deeper. And then, like someone like Ronald is not used to the pressing. He's not used to the pressing at all, which means his position, role, and duty has dropped down. If you look at him, he's naturally a winger on that side. If we were to change it up to a winger or an inverted winger attack, it should, in theory, popped up slightly. So what if we did a winger on support on that side? Jumps up a significant bit for Ronald. And attack even more. So that is also a thing to look out for. Ericsson, maybe advanced playmaker would pop him up a bit. Pops him up a fair whack. It pops him up a fair whack. So maybe that's what we do. We have Ericsson playing as that. And it just gives us a bit more tactical familiarity. And the covers there as well. So I think that's what we do. I think that's a way of looking at it and thinking about it. Timo Horn did get past fit for this game, but the injury susceptibility is something that I obviously highlighted in the squad building. The squad building episode, yesterday's episode. So look at this team, Jesus tonight. Go and play without any pressure. Play without any pressure, lads. Yeah, we brought it up as an issue. We brought it up as something that long term we needed to fix. We couldn't just keep going into the season hoping Timo Horn stayed fit all year. So we haven't. And straight away, Tonavanu has come straight in for a massive game against Newcastle. So hopefully he can play the game and not the occasion. As we are very, very deep to start off with, which I don't mind. It's fine. Yeah, true, that gives it away. And there is your highlighting that team is absolutely ridiculous, you know. To be fair, Ronald and Borza both being on attack on the left actually lends to us like exploiting that flank. So we can always put that back on. Cozy Dubri's got a Bruce and he's fine. Here's Geertruida. Bruno to Almiron, knocks it across. Estrada's giving it away. It's a silly place to do so, but here's Cozy Dubry. He's got Ericsson ahead of him. He's cut back and gone back to follow the youth. That's silly, really, isn't it, Cozy? You know, we've actually had the most possession. That's interesting. Against a team like that. That's quite an interesting take. There's Borza with the throw. Goes long. It's headed away by Almiron. Ronald picks it up. Ronald, we know he likes to go for goal. And he went from distance. But it's a shot. They're going to play short, aren't they? So we will put that on Botman. And we're just sitting waiting, basically. We're just laying in wait. We're not pressing them the entire time. But it's things like this where we turn Ben around. Botman now is like Botman's well out of position. So that's what we're looking for. And Greenwood puts a good press on. That's what we're looking for. Is that can we force a mistake out of them? But not just go like gung-ho sprinting at them because it's a bit silly, isn't it? It's Livermento's fan Bruno Gomares. Roberts misses it. And Osserman, it's tit wide. What's wrong with you, Tano? Fine now. I think he just needed a save in him. Here's Tonali. His corner is floated in. And the big Romanian comes and claims that very easily. And the highlight will stick. Here's Malo Gusto. Back to Tarnovo. Roberts. Oh, no, Hayden. Your left back's on, lad. Your left back. Jesus tonight. Oh, okay. We've got away with it. Borza to Ericsson. Back to Freuler. Borza. Freuler is your pass, surely. No. I don't know what to say about that. So we're about 35 minutes in. I have just changed Greenwood up to a poacher. Excuse me. He's not really in the game, but if you look, we're just not getting the shots on target. We have got a corner here, though. This is an interesting one. Can we take the lead against Newcastle? Cozy Dubry over the ball. He knows where we like to put it, and he doesn't put it anywhere near that. And here's Almiron on the counter. This could be trouble. He's quick, Miguel Almiron. Here's Tonali. And these highlights have been so strange. I'd say we've had the better of the game. I'd say we've had the better of the game so far. No one's really not performing. Obviously, I'd expect like Freuler and Estrada to struggle against this midfield. They're just so much better. Dan Burn playing as an inverted fullback, allow it. And yeah, it's just weird. They're like packing the middle. So I think we do need to exploit that flank. Cozy Dewberry's not performing well. Ericsson is the best player on the pitch, apparently, for us, and is still quite fit, so that's fine. Greenwood, though, I'm not happy with Greenwood. I'm going to take him off. I'm going to put Joe on. I'm going to put Francelinho on, and we're going to put him back to an advanced forward because that just lets him attack a little bit more. We're going to exploit that. We're going to exploit the left flank because they are very, very narrow. They've got an inverted fullback, an inverted wingback, a DM, a holding midfielder, and then a centre midfielder. So if we can just play a bit wider, we should get in, you know. Here's Ronald. And straight away, he's whipped one in. Oh, it was a great knock. That was a great knock. And we intercept. Roberts has played well. Balls out to Ericsson. That is a lovely take. Christian Eriksen. Balls at Ronald. Ronald, lovely touch. Ronald to the byline. Ericsson cut it back. Francelinho. It's saved. Francelinho with his first goal for Bristol at Ashton Gate. Oh, yes. We identified. That's a lovely little back heel there. We identified the tactical fragility of Newcastle playing very narrow. Look at this. Inverted wing back, inverted fullback, a DM, a centre mid, and an AP. There is space to Dan Burn on the flanks, and it's paid dividends. We attack that left side straight from kickoff, and we take the lead, and Francelinho Giroud has got his first goal for Bristol. Right, Romeo Freuler is not playing well, but we've got a set piece. We have been working on these. Whipped in, heads away. Here's Ronald. Ronald pulls it in, and Francelinho. Oh, the flag's gone up. Oh, the flag's gone up on Francelinho. The Portuguese. Ooh, it looked like he might have had his second goal of the day. Not to be. We are going to bring Freuler off and bring Hodzer on. He's not performed. Estrada's going to have to play as that anchor man, really, isn't he? Yeah, he is for now. Ericsson is looking very tired now. Obviously, his stamina's not great. But I think we leave him out there for this game, rest him for the next, and maybe that's how we use him. We just give him a full game, rest him, full game, rest him, and just let him actually sort of rotate in and out the team. But as time ticks away, we are looking good. There's a couple of players who are looking nervous. So what we're just going to do, we're just going to say no pressure to Cozy Dewberry. We're going to say no pressure to Hodzer. And who have we got on the bench? Warrington, Shackleton, not looking up to it. Cannon is. Tom Cannon could come on. It's not worth it. Tano Vanu. 7.1 he's on. He's having a good game. Oh, that's a dreadful pass by Borza. And that's the type of stuff he's been doing all season long. Borza. Here's Ben. Galeno cuts it back into the area and it's knocked over by Tino Livramento. That is the type of thing that Borza has been doing this season. He's just... Oh, God, I've clicked off the bloody screen as we've got a free kick. Ericsson whips it in. Follow Diaz! Oh, he's at the crossbar! Oh, he was offside. I am going to bring Cozy Dewberry off. Francelinho can play out on the left. So I'm thinking, no, do you know what? Let's bring Di Pietri on. He needs to start performing. Ronald's having a good game. We're going to bring him off for Ismail Diaz. And we're going to make Ismail Diaz just carry on playing as the winger. Just carry on playing as the winger. That's what's been working. That left-hand side has been torn apart pretty much for Newcastle as they make wholesale changes there. Willock's on. Barnes is on. Livramento's gone in at right back now. Bruno's dropped deeper. Willock's the attacking midfielder. Can we hold out? We have got one sub left to make. And I'm tempted to make it in the middle. Take Estrada off. Let's bring Lewis on. Let's bring Lewis Warrington on. We'll change him in a moment to a ball winner because that's what he likes. He looks motivated. You do you. You do you, Lewis. Oh my God, Matthew, it's on the left-hand side, isn't it? I've got my gigs on as well, lads. This is not good for me. Hodge has played very well. 7.1 since coming on. As we look to hold out, Newcastle not had a shot on target this game. I think this 4-2-3-1, we wanted to use it in the last season in the Championship. Good tackle. Oh, Stefan with a big save. And Atubolu, the Newcastle goalkeeper's in there. He's in the yellow. Big lad as well. As they whip it across. Hayden Roberts is there. And Ericsson, he's got flair and vision. Will he hit it? No, he's just going to hold it up and lose the ball. And Borza intercepts. And we get away with that one. Ericsson, tired legs from the old man. As Byrne heads that on. Warrington heads it. Here's Harvey Barnes. Oh, it's Harvey Barnes. Osserman trying to switch it to Almiron. He's done very well. What a ball by Osserman. And Borza with a big tackle. And again, Newcastle have a corner. The goalkeeper is up there again. And we nearly broke last time as Tonali whips it in and the goalkeeper claims it. Tarnavanu has looked completely at home in the net here. Francelino's head is tipped away. Well, I would say I'm not a conventional football manager player, to be honest. And I think, Ericsson, you just take your time, son. He's had a great game, Christian Eriksen. Whips it in, headed away by Byrne again. Francelino knocks it on. Livramento heads away, and Bristol pick up their second scalp of the season. We can beat anybody at Ashton Gate. Anybody. That is some performance. A 1-0 victory. We limited them. We really did. And there's your confirmation. A 1-0 win. Francelino due coming off the bench. Bristol City manager Matt Ringham reverted to a 4-2-3-1 formation, and the result was a 1-0 victory. The Robins have been on a dreadful run of defeats, but a tactical switch paid off. That is what we like to see. Francelino due is a very, very good player. Very good player. That's obviously why we brought him in. They say pressing forward. When it was a two-striker formation, I was happy with that. I'd rather he played advanced forward. That's what he scored with. As those Everton top of the league. Go on, Daichi. As those who have watched me for a while know, I'm not conventional. I wouldn't say I'm a conventional football manager player. I do things sort of my own way. We play the way we like to play. You need to be an AP, don't you? And Ronald as a winger on that side rather than an inside forward or inverted winger. Left winger attack. There you go. That's what he prefers, isn't it? Oh no, winger support he prefers. It's shot up when he went attack. We'll leave it as it is. I think that tactical switch worked. I think Freuler and Estrada got a bit overrun. That Newcastle midfield are absolutely fantastic. Veldin Hodzer, who I said at the beginning of the episode, I like him. I just don't really know where he fits or what he is. He came on, was great. Obviously, Warrington and Shackleton have both come on both games and done well. See, Diaz's average rating's popped up now. Francelino Drew's got a goal. Di Pietri is still a concern. I don't feel like he's adapting as well as others. He's training well, but he's not really adapting. We've again another, I think, justified decision. Stefan Tarnavanu, Tarnavanu's come in, just put in a 7.7 in the Premier League against Newcastle. So there's that. Gusto had a good game. Fallou Diouf hit the crossbar. A fantastic young player. Andre Borza picked it up a bit. 6.8, I believe he was on in that last game. If we look at his form, you can see it there. 7.3 he got in the end. So he's now picking it back up. Again, I would say, don't take it as gospel. I'm not always right. Give yourself 5 or 6 games, particularly if you've gone up and you've made a fair few signings, as you tend to do when you go up, and then revert, and then try and tinker and try and see what's happening. And if players aren't playing very well, maybe drop them. The start of the season, Ben Mee was the out-and-out starter for this team. There was never going to be a situation where Ben Mee didn't start. I thought his what am I trying to say? His experience and everything will pay off. But we identified that he was one of the weak links. We've brought Hayden Roberts back in. You can see he played a game against Bournemouth. Even though we lost, he scored a goal, finished on 7.3. The game we lost, he came off the bench and put in a 6.7. And then 2 games back to back, he's put in 7+ performances. I would say he's better than Ben Mee, but Ben Mee's better than him. But I'd say whatever it is, whether it's the hidden attributes, whether it's his personality being resolute, I don't know what it is, whether he's just more familiar because he's been here for a while, but Hayden Roberts is now cementing himself as that left-hand side of centre-back with Fallou Diouf on the right. It's all about perception at the end of the day, and my perception was that, obviously, we think Mason Greenwood can play in this role as an attacking midfielder. So I think for the game against Manchester City, it'll be Greenwood. Ericsson will drop out. Francelinho, Dew will come in. He deserves a start. Ericsson won't be in the matchday squad because he's not fit at all. So we will probably bring Bush back in, just so we've got the cover at the right back spot there. Maybe even Tommy Conway or one of the other centre backs on the bench there. Who have we got who can play defence there? Who can play centre back? I think we need to put a centre back on the bench, don't you? Oh no, Estrada, isn't it? Estrada can play there. He didn't play well. I think that might have just been a blip, but again, we anticipated the midfield being overrun by Newcastle because they are a far superior team. But yeah, improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what I would say. That's the takeaway from this episode. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to play some more off camera. Hopefully the 4-2-3-1 continues getting results. We've got a big game away against Manchester City at the Etihad. They are struggling this season. They are down in 11th place on only 8 points. We are 2 points behind Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Who have they signed? I bet you they've signed some mad players. Do you know what? They haven't, but they've got Stones playing at right back. Pedro Porro, they've signed. Gonzalez, Nicholas Gonzalez, Sasha Bowie, Stemenjic, I've not seen before. Pepe? Not that Pepe, thankfully. Luca Fletcher. Hello, son. He looks alright, doesn't he? So they've actually not signed that many players. Luis Fiorini, obviously we had him last season. What a fraud. Yeah. I think there could be something in it. There could be something in it. I think City will be playing very, very narrow again, just based on that. If we look at them again, look at their tactics. They've got Stones on the right-hand side, Ake on the left. I imagine one of these are being inverted wing-back and sort of push here, and one of them being inverted full-back to make it the 3. So I actually think that on the counter, we can probably do City down the wings, to be honest. But yeah, I am going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. If you've stuck out the full hour and 15, you are a soldier, because it's just a lot of me waffling. But thank you very much. I'll see you all next time for episode 21 of the Ashton Gate 8. We will have a little look at how we're getting on. We'll have a little look at the players out on loan. We'll see how the under-18s and under-21s are performing again. But thank you very much for watching, and take care.